Hi, welcome to an episode of Coffee with Mirko, the podcast where we speak with coffee professionals unknown, and we just love to just kick back, lean, grab a cup of coffee, and just enjoy the conversation with our guest. Today is another special episode, so we're super happy to have Vag, and he'll tune in real soon, live from the UK. He's just such an amazing coffee professional, but just another great, just human. And I see him in the chat, so give him a bit of love, and we'll get the chat going. If you're new, just welcome. Good to see you. Feel free to share this into a story, take a screenshot. Always good to see new faces sharing our podcast. It's always available on Spotify and all major platforms. So I see a few familiar faces, and Vag should tune in real soon. Let's see. Where is he? Here we go.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good morning. See, you already. You're awake. You know what's up. I just finished the 3 kilometer run, so I'm on the water.
How you look great, mate. I like your style.
I'm trying. It's coming along. It's still a year away, probably, but yeah, I'm trying to let them
It's
grow.
your post-COVID look.
Hey. First, thank you for joining on a Monday morning, taking the time, being here. It's just super good. It's good to see you. I know there's going to be a lot of people mentioning that you are going to drop some tzatziki recipes.
Absolutely.
And, I know that I already read a few comments, so we'll wait for it. First and foremost, London, 2020, November. It's in lockdown, from my understanding. How are you, and how is everyone?
Yeah, we're today on the 5th day of the lockdown 2.0 here in London. The coffee shops can only serve takeaways, and some of them they can do delivery as well. Nobody is allowed to sit in. So this is a new era for the whole hospitality industry here in the UK. I can say that there are people on the streets. There are people who go out and grab their coffee, which is good, and we're grateful for their support. I know that the coffee shops have taken all the measurements that they can take to keep everyone safe, keep the staff safe, keep the customers safe. So I can say that it's going better than the first one. And I think that we know that if you're a healthy individual and if you keep distance, chances are you're most probably going to be fine. So I think it's okay that it's going this way.
Yeah, and it was obviously quite, obviously from this side of the world, it's been a bit of tough news. Obviously I got family in Europe and yourself too, and it's like, we are walking out of it after 7 long months, and you guys are going back in it. Big shout out to my man Lewis. He just moved back from Melbourne back to London.
Wow.
Like a matter of weeks ago, and poor guy, but he's doing a guy too.
I'm sure he has cool stories to share.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Vag. I think I never had someone on the show as prepared as you, because you are prepared. Already the first question probably. Could you tell us your coffee journey, how it started, where it's going?
Yeah, of course. I think that's probably the first time I tell my story public, so that's gonna be a good one. So I started in the hospitality industry when I was 19, during my uni years. Well, in Greece, where I grew up and I studied, we studied during the the winter time, and then during the summer break, we have 3 months of summer break, and we normally find a job, make some money, so we have some money to spend for the uni, right? So I started working as a waiter in a very small local coffee shop. But of course, I was trained by the most senior one, the person that was, there for 6, 7, 8 years, that was training everyone, blah, 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 blah. But the problem I had was that the majority of the coffees from the customers were coming back. So when I was telling to my trainer that people are returning their coffee, something may be wrong with our coffee, maybe this is an us problem. Then she told me, no, this is how we make coffee. I've been trained in Italy, blah, blah, blah. No offense, of course. And then I decided to book a seminar, a coffee seminar. And then after I did my coffee seminar, then I told myself that I knew nothing. So I started from there. And since then I haven't looked back. That's it. And then I'm 5 years now.
And how long? I mean, and then obviously you moved to the UK, which was probably the biggest bold move. And I think
absolutely, I moved to the UK 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, and I think that often someone made me think about it is recently we underestimate, because we're young, because we're busy in the head, and we're really like doing things, but it's not really something easy. Obviously, we are more privileged than people who migrate on boats and things, but still it requires the hustle of learning a language. I'm the same boat as you, visas, getting a job because your English is not good enough, or your visa status, and Matteo's mentioning, what about the Greek army? I want to hear it. It's like it's tough. So I think your move was big move. How did you find it to just drop everything and just chase your coffee sort of dream and path, and all the way to London from the war of Greece? Such a big jump.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And well, things were very unexpectedly different. What I mean by that is, back in Greece, if you were a good barista, or if you are a good barista, then people know you, some other people. You can easily find the job through a phone call. Even if I had to move from my island to the mainland, then I would give a phone call to a few people. They would find me a job. And when I moved to the UK, I had also 4 SEA certifications, but I didn't help at all. And it took me a month and a half to find a job. So I thought I was a good barista in Greece. I still think that I was a good barista in Greece. But here in London, I was no one. So actually, nobody knew me. I knew no one. So I told myself that I have to step up my game. I have to go there and show, first and foremost, to myself that I'm as good as I believe I am. And then if I am good, then people will see that, and they will appreciate that, and they will probably hire me, or offer me a job, or something to work on.
Yeah,
that month and a half was a very painful month, my friend. So
of course,
be patient.
Of course, and I think it's also worth to mention the fact that not only it's painful on a financial point of view, it's mostly mentally painful and taxing, because all of a sudden you're self-doubting yourself, and you're putting yourself questions, am I good enough? Which is never, I hate the word never. It's rarely a good place to be, because it can go real deep and dark. So I think that you flipped it around quite well. And what sort of advice do you have, I suppose, when it comes to people who are in the same boat as you, going to a new country and trying to get a job? What would you say is your top 3 recommendations?
Yeah, Good question. I would highly advise to employ yourself with a lot of patience, patience, and also don't be scared to message people. It's something that you always like. You say that all the time. It's like the worst case scenario is to not get an answer or like not get a reply, but you don't lose anything to just DM people. And I believe that if you're a good person, if you're a humble person, you will attract people that believe what you believe. You will attract people that are as good as you, and they want to be around and surrounded by good people. So you will eventually find something that suits you. Just be patient, have a plan B, C, D, as we have in competitions, and things will definitely go well.
Yeah.
Don't give up in the first week, not even in the first month. If you have a problem, DM me.
And to add to that, I think there's a couple of other ways to look at it as well, which is I really think that even the fact that I think that we put a lot of value when it comes to money, but I think that there are chances for you to sort of say, hey, you know what, give me a chance. I'll work for you for free a month. I'll show you what I'm worth, and then it's your call. And like you said, if you're good, very likely they're going to keep you. They're going to invest in you because you become an asset for their business. And I think that's definitely something that I don't really see often, but that could be definitely another level of,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't be afraid to work for free. That's a good takeaway message to always have in mind. And just things take time. Like,
yeah.
Being a barista in London is like you're one of the million baristas. Like, of course, it will take time.
Yeah.
Maybe it will take more than you think that it will take, but just be patient.
Let's look at what home baristas do, right? I mean, we should learn a couple of things from them. Home baristas, they go to forums, they go to events. So on the flip side, someone looking for a job as a barista, I mean, nowadays it's a bit difficult with COVID, but go to cuppings, go to free events, go to coffee shops that you love and take a couple of stories. And maybe the owner of that shop sees your Instagram. Just be connected in the network in that city of coffee, because then it's all about one conversation. Maybe you're at a cupping and then you talk to Matteo, and turns out that, hey, look, we're looking for a barista. We're looking for wait staff. And then you create this conversation, because it's how when you first new to a brand new city, foreign, and you're like alone, because we are alone, So I think that's the other element that could be interesting. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can understand that even speaking to someone or approaching someone, it can be daunting, can be terrifying, but this is the point that you need to like overcome this barrier, and like you don't lose something just to say hi, how are you? That's what we do with our customers, right? We don't know them. They paid some money to buy a latte from us, but we ask them, how's your day going, and how's your family like? I think we should do that more often in our everyday life. That's what I believe.
100%. And often in these cases anyway, you're in a very familiar, comfortable place where very likely you have people who share the same passion. So if you go at a cupping, you can talk about coffee. There's coffee lovers there. There's no people who are not interested in coffee. So it's your people. You speak the same language already as far as passion goes. So, it can become quite interesting. And look, Matteo just dropped perfect message. We met at cupping, actually. Good to connect people in the scene. Correct. Thanks, Louis.
That's correct.
Yeah, so and we always talk about us being in the people industry, and sometimes we don't do it, right? And I get coffee shops all the time asking me, do you know any head baristas? And it blows me away. I think it's just so interesting, because baristas should be, like you said, DMing 10, 15, 20 new shops constantly. That would be interesting space. And lastly, on the job point of view, this is just hot tip for people listening. Do not underestimate for 1 minute LinkedIn. I think coffee shop owners, especially like multi-site operations, who are always churning stuff, turning them over. They always, comment, engage with businesses on LinkedIn, and I think that you can add value there by posting some thoughtful blog post rather than just pretty latte art pictures, which is fine. But I think that creates an extra leverage for you to be able to potentially get a potential new job or an interview. Anyways, yeah.
And what you just said is so interesting, that the shops ask you. That means that they trust you and your opinion, that you know people who are good enough, and your recommendation will be like worth it. So that's props to you, man.
I just posted a story because someone's looking for a barista role, full-time job, paid, and so far I've received 0 DMs, which is fine, which means that all the people that watched it probably got a job, which is great. So that's good. And also people watching, not necessarily in Melbourne, so that's okay. But anyway, so you moved from Greece to London, big shock. And just whilst we're on Greece, even though we're not going to make comments about tzatziki, even though I know that's what the boys want. I ask this question all the times, and we'll keep it short. If I come to your, grandma, grandpa, whoever it is in Greece, how should I expect the coffee to be made in an authentic Greek household?
Yeah, that's a good question. In Greece, the traditional coffee we have is called, of course, Greek coffee. Like in Cyprus is Cypriot, in Turkish is Turkish. Well, they all fall into the category of Ibrik Cezve coffee. So you have this Ibrik, very finely ground coffee, water, you let it boil, and you drink it with a packet of biscuits, and then you sit there for a couple of hours, talk about life, have interesting conversation with your grandma, with your uncles, and yeah, that's an everyday routine. 3 cups of coffee a day. We don't do mocha as you do, but Greek coffee is. And actually, during quarantine, I started doing a Greek coffee, Ibrik coffee at home with my hand grinder and with a specialty coffee, and I can say that they taste pretty damn delicious. So give it a go.
There you go. You know how I'm all about the experience, so it's really refreshing to hear that you've created more coffee in your authentic way. And Andre just said,
yeah.
I met some amazing Greek baristas. They're amazing, especially when it comes to hospitality. So good. There you go.
Thanks.
You have it in the blood. Big love, Andre. I know you're stuck in Europe. But anyway, yeah, okay. And what about if I come to your place right now? What's your to-go-to coffee? And what are you working on right now that you're in lockdown in projection of potential new competitions? Because that's the next topic anyway.
Yeah, good question. So the company that I'm working with, Watch House in London, UK, we launched our roastery during the first lockdown in March. We reopened the shops though in August, which means for those 3 months we were constantly roasting batches, testing batches, toasting batches. Not all the coffee tastes good, but we managed to reach a point that they taste delicious. So I was very fortunate to try a lot of bad roasts or bad coffees until we reach the point that we drink the good ones. So you tend to appreciate the hard work that the roaster has to put in order to roast the coffee properly and expertly. So I was lucky to taste all the test roast and the test batches and different compositions of blends. So that was a big learning curve for me. Now, regarding the competition, we know here in the UK that the competition will be postponed until late 2021. So with the competition team here in the company, we had 2 approaches to follow. Either we don't do anything about that and we start training for the competitions when we have the dates, or we start training from now and have this one year ahead of us to like properly train and have all the time that we actually wanted to have all those years of competitions. And I think for us, like honestly, competition is more like a mindset, which means like you go to the training center, you switch off your phone, you stay there for half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, depends on your style of training, and you do your thing, and then you walk away. It's not like I have the dates, I'm gonna train for 2 weeks, and then whatever comes, it comes. Now for us, it's more like we go there, we have a plan. Like you go to the gym, you have already your workout in a sheet of paper, and you go there, you execute, you leave, go home, spend time with family, wife, and stuff. Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. And from your well, we got some questions here. One is the cheeky one. Is it time for Freddo?
Always a time for Freddo.
And here we got some good question from Nat. During your time of competing, what is the hardest era that you have faced, and how did you overcome it?
The hardest error and the hardest mistake. Yeah, I think my hardest mistake, like my biggest mistake, was that I couldn't believe that I wasn't allowing myself to believe that I can reach far or I can hit a good position. In other words, I wasn't allowing myself to dream big, that I can manage to get there, I can be one of the best, or I can be amongst the professionals in the industry here. And that was a mistake, and that stressed me a little bit, and I was just like diminishing myself. I wasn't allowing myself to see my potential. That was a big one. Even though I believe that I can do that, I wasn't allowing myself to believe in it and go fully hard on it. But yeah, after this competition, then things changed, which is good.
Well, I guess the second question attached to that would be, hang on, did you come to that conclusion by yourself, or someone told you that you should dream bigger?
Oh, well, yeah, no, definitely not by myself. Like for this competition, I had a full team behind me, and I'm very lucky and proud and grateful to have such a team behind me to support me. Like my coach and the whole team were telling me, like, man, you can do that. You go there. You have worked hard for it. You can go there and smash it, and you deserve to be there. But like, I was like, yeah, whatever. Like in 2 years, you cannot do much. Like maybe in 10 years time or in 5 years time and stuff like this. But yeah, then I had to let my feelings go and fully trust my team. That was the key. That was the point that clicked, and everything changed. And then I relaxed and I just performed on stage.
Well, and you obviously done fantastic. I think we can all say that. And the next question is very special because it's your question. Who is your biggest inspiration in competition and in life?
Oh, man.
Hey, you asked the question, Vasquez, you got the question. Now say.
Yeah. Good question, Mirko. I think that nowadays, the same people I take inspiration from regarding coffee, I draw the same inspiration about life as well. I'm fortunate to have people surrounding me, like big coffee professionals, like people that I have tremendous respect for, and I fully believe what they tell me. Like people like Dan Fellows, people like Paul Ross, Matt Winton, Matt, like they were kind enough, and I'm grateful for that, like to answer to my DMs, speak on the phone, tell me their honest opinion, and that really is what kept me going and allowed me to like go there and do my things and stuff. And the funny thing is, with all those coffee professionals you actually have interviewed in your show, most of them, they still say that they're trying to find the balance. They're struggling with stuff. They're doing their best. They're constantly working on things. And what I tell to myself is that if these guys that are in the industry for 20 years, 30 years, they're big names, big stars, they are struggling, then I shouldn't complain at all. I should just go there, put the work, put the hours in, and hope for the best. And that's what I try to do.
Yeah, look, I think it's safe to say that you've definitely got, I don't know in England if they say it, but in Australia they love saying your head well screwed, in the sense of like, you know, you got such a good mindset, you're super young, and yeah, since we met, obviously just through online means, like you're so present in the coffee community, but you're helpful, you were on the global coffee table, you humble bozo, you work out, and I appreciate you because I know what it means for you coming from a certain cultural aspect and expectations, you know, and I know it's not easy necessarily always to deal with that back home, and then, you know, putting yourself at play, yeah, putting yourself at play and go out there, expose yourself. I mean, talk about, you know, it's great. It's great to see. So, you know, props to you for sure. That question I had to ask because you always ask it. So, you know. The other question, because it's almost pretty much halfway through, so you know already the answer. You're probably already ready for this question.
Go to dinner with.
If you could, Vag, who would you like to have dinner with?
Yeah. To be completely honest, I would like to go for dinner with a guy called Simon Sinek. This is one of the first people that I listened to. They started talking about empathy, started talking about being kind, started talking about figuring out why you're doing what you're doing. And that is really the drive, like since 2 years ago that I started like actively listening to what the message he's trying to spread. And I would like to go for dinner with, because I would like to ask him like how he's doing and what project he's working on. And since he figured out his why, how his life is transformed. And actually I would like to ask him what is he currently struggling with. Because I'm sure that he is struggling with stuff, and I'd like to. I'm so curious to see what project he works on, and yeah. And of course, regarding the coffee, I would like to have dinner with you because you're definitely a people's person, and I'm so curious to see what are you going, what's going on with you, Mirko.
I would love to have dinner with you too. Hey?
I hope I can travel to Australia and go for a dinner together. I'm sure you
likewise
to share.
Likewise, and also it means that you win UK Barista Championship and you come to hopefully maybe WBC Melbourne one day. I don't know where I'll come to next year in Europe. But now I appreciate your answer, and I'll check out Simon Sinek actually later. So thanks for that. And well, I think we can, you know, empathy, kindness, being humble. I think they're such a basis and foundation of our industry. And I think that connects super well with the question that Ruzibika asked about what advice do you have to give to those baristas who want to be more successful? I'll let you answer the question, but I think that empathy, kindness is definitely up there in the list of things.
Absolutely. And practicing empathy, like onto the customers and onto the team is something very hard. It takes a lot of courage. It's not easy, but it's definitely teachable. And like you can't train yourself on that. And the way I'm training myself from that is just by being behind the bar, speaking with customers, trying to help when I can, or at least not be a pain when I shouldn't be. And just the constant discussion with the team, and ask them how they go, how things go, how things are at home, trying to not get upset with anything happens. If someone is, for example, on their phone during shift, maybe there's something going on that he needs to answer. We don't need to go hard at him and then give him like a punishment or something. Like, it's more like it made my life be more relaxed and more like chill out, and not the first thought that comes to my mind to be a negative one. So for me, practicing empathy is a top priority, and when you're a barista. And being kind to people is like, first of all, it costs nothing, being a decent human being. It's very hard to be one, absolutely, but it costs $0, and it's probably one of the greatest things that
someone can have. 100%, and I think, again, when it comes also to define the success, you know how I always say, if you sleep well at nighttime because you're content and in harmony with yourself, then well, fuck, it's just you're winning. Obviously, maybe Rizabika wants a more practical answer, but I think the obvious ones are there. Keep practicing, network, social media, put yourself out there, do something that someone's never done, and try to get some people attention. And then depends what you want. Do you want to succeed in competition, in business because you want to open 10 shops? Do you just want to get a job, a secure, safe job in a country that is not yours? Like, then based on those answers, then you can kind of narrow down things you need to. But I think what we just spoke about is
and I'm sure that one last thing that I want to add to what you just said is that I know that there are good people out there that they are willing to help. They're willing to help you. They probably won't ask for any money. They do it because they love to do it. They love sharing their knowledge. They want to welcome more people into like their vision or their team. And I'm sure that if you put the hours in first, you show people that you're a dedicated person, you're a humble person, you know what you want to do, and you know where you want to get, then you will find the people that will support you. At least that's what happened with me on my competition. And I'm very grateful for that. Having people believing in what I did.
Yeah, and look, I'm about to finish a book which is called The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and he talks about success and how it's not necessarily always a scientific proof of what he says, but there's so much to it. Your cultural background, which year you were born, what month you were born, the dynamics and the circumstances around you. So, he was talking about Bill Gates' story, for instance, one of the biggest stories in the book. And, Bill Gates was also fortunate to be in the right spot at the right time, because he was able to have access to this no one had this kind of supercomputer, and then he punched in thousands of hours of practice. So that was lucky. If he was born 3 years earlier, he would not have had the same access at the same age.
Absolutely.
And they've made a calculation that it takes about 10,000 hours of practicing one thing. And then I actually found interesting part of the books. Sorry to take over a little bit, but I think it's super cool to share. There's a reason why certain Asian countries are better at maths, for example. It's actually not because they're from China or Japan. It's because actually how they say the numbers in their language is so much easier and more logical than other languages. So instead of having 11, 12, 13, 14, it's 1, 2, 1, 3. So you just need to learn 1 to 9 and you're good. In fact, they usually have an extra 2 or 3 numbers of memory of a string of numbers over, you know, Western languages. So success is also defined by your surroundings, and it's anyway. Ruzibika, the book is called Outliers. I think it's like $5 on Amazon as an ebook. Anyway, back to us. We got lovely, few lovely comments. What's inside will definitely show, and no one or nothing is on your way. It's just you. I think it's beautiful. Thank you all for sharing. Vag, what do you want to talk about? Because I think the scene is yours. I think you're a guy that has a lot to say. I have plenty of questions, but what do you want to say?
Yeah, I want to say that, well, the question that most of the coffee professionals here in the UK have, or like the worries or what's troubling their mind, is what's our next step? We're working like 5 years in the bar, behind the bar, and we're always and constantly looking for what's next, what's the next goal to chase, and what's whether we see ourselves in 2, 5, 10 years from now. And COVID is actually the reason that messed up a little bit with our brains, because we used to think 2, 5, 10 years ahead, and COVID changed all of our plans. And what I want to say about that is that COVID at some point will pass, or we will get used to that and we will continue to live with it. But that we shouldn't allow that to mess up with our brains and our hearts and our goals. I think that we should continue to work hard, set up new goals, pivot if we need to pivot, change direction if we need to change direction. But at some point we will reach the harbor we want to reach. And as long as we stay together and we continue to support each other, we will do great things. And trying to find people that believe in our cause and want to do cool stuff as well. I think that's the key. And Sasa Sestic says something very, very interesting in one of his podcasts, that we all have one pizza and we will all share it. And I find that very amazing. We have one pizza, we don't have like 1,000, we will share them. We have one, and we're all together in this.
100%. And to touch base on that before I read Andrew's comment, you know, I made a couple of beautiful friendships in the past few months with some German people, and one of them, you know, was quite, you know, the lockdown was a bit daunting, even though it's not as strict as other countries. And I think it's important to share what I kind of shared with her, which is like, it's difficult, and, you know, granted health and, you know, well-being and, you know, obviously, and financial hardship, that's not the case maybe. I think it's a great chance to pick up those projects that you keep putting off because you got more time in your hands now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, like, we don't need to look anywhere further than where we are now. Like, you know, my setup for this podcast is literally a glass jar where my phone is sitting on. That's it. There's no fancy microphone. It's my kitchen in the back. It's an Instagram, and this is the 97th time that we're doing this. But I've always put it off. I always wanted to have something like this, and then COVID hit. I was like, fuck, like, I think it's a great opportunity. So whether it's baking, start a TikTok account because you got some moves, or, you know, you want to share, I don't know, cooking skills or whatever, or you want to start something, you want to start a blog, you want to start pottery, or, I don't know, embroidery or drawing, and you keep putting it off, or, you know, and then give yourself some love and some self-soothing days when days are harder than other days. Some are bad, some are good, some are just average days. Just, I don't know, have a nice warm bath if you got a bath or shower with some essential oils, and treat yourself. Have a spa day, you know, order some takeout, maybe treat yourself with some delicious food, or buy the bag of coffee that costs an extra euro or two, because, you know, we deserve it and we shouldn't be hard on ourselves. And like you said, it's just something, you know, we all adapt to circumstances, you know. the world survived first, second World War, Chernobyl, hurricane. There's a huge hurricane now in Panama, which is impacting our friends at 90 plus severely. My heart goes to them, and they will survive and they will thrive again. Same with COVID, 9/11, we can go on and on. So granted health and financial, stability, I think there's a lot of positive in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you one question, Mirko. If you wanted to change something in the coffee industry or in the specialty coffee industry, what would that be? I know it's a good question.
I know it's actually here. It's here. There's a few. First of all, base my answer on to Melbourne. I think, man, so many options here. Can I just one? Oh, fuck. Oh. To improve, oh man, this is a hard one because I have so many things up here. I just think overall, just treat every single customer like if it's your first one, every single day, every single time. If we're talking about playing service, I think that's great. It's just back to basics, It's just your job will be so much more enjoyable. You're gonna have so much more out of it. Service would just go up a notch. Just treat every single person that walks through the door like the first customer on the first day ever of work. But now you might have the skills to pour and talk, to steam and talk, to calculate the change and talk, and interact with them and just add value to them and their day. Whether it's a 15 seconds conversation or a 15-minute conversation, try to add value to them. And, then yes, they will see why they should come to your shop rather than the $1 convenience store shop. Nothing wrong against $1 if, people are in need of business, I get it. But then they will see it. Otherwise, if they just walk in and they just get a more expensive cup of coffee and nothing else, well, yeah, flavor goes so far, really. Flavor goes so far, and for these many people. So that's probably one thing. But then again, there's a few. But not because it's wrong. It's because I think we should stop being afraid of speaking out loud about stuff, because we're not talking in a criticizing way. We're not talking to say, you bad, she's bad, he's bad, oh, you're doing it wrong. We're talking about, hey, how can we make it better? It's all about progressing. Look at technology. It's all about, how can we make the next best iPhone, the next best Samsung, the next best Google Pixel? That's all about that. So I think that's something that, yeah.
So having a common goal as a team or as a company, bringing more people into this vision. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one, Mirko.
You asked the question. I was expecting something like that from you. I knew something was coming. And before we carry on, just some love from Andrea saying, so happy to be back following the live sessions. Thank you. Super cool to give the youngsters a platform to share their viewpoints. They are the future. Indeed, I always say it. It's my life mission. No matter how old I am, I'm going to be supporting the young people.
And because we're speaking about Andrea, I want to say him a big thank you, because he's actually one of my biggest inspirations when it comes down to competition. And Andrea was pulling 400 espresso shots a day for X amount of months for his preparation for the WBC, and that's something I'm still like shocked every time these words come out of my mouth, and that's a drive for me to keep working hard. And if you can do it, then I'll try to like do it and maybe do more than that. You never know when, you never know when you will inspire someone or someone will get inspired by you because of like one you word you said, or like a minute of your time you devoted to someone. And I find that very fascinating in life in general. Like 1 minute conversation, a 15-minute conversation, or like a phone call or a Zoom call can trigger someone's mind and make him like change his life and his route completely. That's
and to add to that, the number one trick, and it's super difficult to master, the minute that you're on that side, giving that minute and phone call, do it without expectations.
Absolutely.
The minute that you have expectations, think, well, I helped this. I mean, a little bit's okay. If someone is rude to you, you can't say, well, really helped that person. But, at the same time, just, not having expectations for sure. It's a big one. And then we go, great advice, guys. And sorry, just a second. Yes, love yourself, be your biggest fan, baby. I love it. Cool. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, don't you think that it feels good when you give something without expectations? Isn't it something life-changing, like for you? Give something because you want to give something to help someone because you expect to get something back, and then if you don't get it back, then you get frustrated, and that takes so much energy out of you, and it feels like.
Oh yeah. It's almost wasting your time the minute that you have expectations from that minute, 5 minutes conversation. And that's the same applies to, handing out a cup of coffee when you're behind the bar. If you have the expectation that someone will always say to you, oh my God, this is the best coffee in the world, man, it's game over after 6 hours. Because you should just pull out and, you don't know what they're going to get back to you with. They might get back to you and say, hey, this is really bad. They might get back to you and say, no matter how good you think you are, if you have only expectations of, even in competition, if you have expectations of, winning, well, yeah, I mean, that's gonna be tough.
You'd better master losing because, I mean, there are very rare scenarios like people smashing into on their first year, and shout out to Matteo that he did that, his first competition, he took the first place in the UK Brewers Cup, but most of the normal people are not good like Matteo. Then it takes so many losses until you reach the top, and when you reach the top, then you appreciate the hard work. And I think Dale Harris was saying something similar, that it's the accumulation of all those years of training that when he went to the world, he smashed it and he took the trophy. It didn't happen overnight, I'm sure.
No. And that's with going back to the book, 10,000 hours, that's a long time. If you start making some maths, like 10,000 hours is a lot. And I don't think that I have done anything nowhere near 10,000 hours. Like maybe, not even talking. I mean, yeah, I've talked more than 10,000 hours. But I'm talking in terms of, I can't think of anything that I've done, that I've mastered after 10,000 hours. So it's very interesting. Look, we got about 9 minutes left, which is, I know time flew. You probably already know the last couple of questions because you've heard a few of this. Thank you for coming first. I know it's tough. I hope that you didn't compromise a very precious shift during these tough times. I hope so.
My manager was kind enough to solve a shift with my colleague, so a big
Fantastic.
thanks to us for doing that.
Big thanks to the manager. Thank you. Vag, what's your coffee mission and what's next for you? Stage yours.
Good question. To be honest, I don't know. I'm working on it, and I have a few projects going on in the background. To be honest, the reason I love what I'm doing is that through coffee I can learn more about life and myself. I can become a better human being. Like talking to customer or treating people nice, that's something, it's a people skill. It's something that will make me better as a human being than as a partner or as a father, or I'll be a better father to my kid one day. And that's my goal. That's my drive every time I interact with the customers and with the team. What am I working on? Well, I'm trying to I try to deliver good coffee, of course, when I'm behind the bar, but I try to be more like be on the background, trying to promote like junior baristas or the trainees to yeah, speak what they having on their mind, and like I try to be the leader I didn't have when I started doing coffee, and like be someone that I can give advice to people if I'm asked to, and give my honest opinion, and it's that like.
It's, I think you've nailed it. Where I mean, I think that's beautiful what you said about try to be the guidance that you didn't have. I mean, talk about the book again. There is someone who's gonna meet you, and because of meeting you and the way that you will be as a leader, their path will drastically change because of meeting you. And then obviously the backstory of his or her story, but and you may change someone's life. And look, and I think it's perfect to say, well, we just read now. The only expectations we have is that Vag will share his secret tzatziki recipe. First, is there a joke going on? Is there something that you pop every day?
Well, well, in Greece, we're very famous for our tzatziki sauce. It's more like a yogurt and garlic sauce. And when I catch up with my friends, like pre-COVID day, because now we cannot, right? Well, I used to be very good at making tzatziki, and of course, making a sauce, a spread like this one takes a lot of time and takes a lot of dialing. Maybe you can put all things together, but at the same time, you taste all the time, you add some bit of this, some bit of olive oil, some bit of garlic, and you try to nail it. But this is actually a good way to like teach people about specialty coffee, or teach people about coffee. If you want to have a consistent product, you need to have a recipe. So in baking and in making tzatziki, you have recipe. So when you make espresso or a filter coffee, you need a recipe. So maybe this is a good way how to introduce people to the way we make coffee nowadays. I will share my recipe, my story.
Maybe maybe there's a way to incorporate tzatziki and coffee. Who knows? You prepare the special drinks.
Next thing to be, you never know. This is how the crazy ideas come up. Like
maybe. Hey, I mean, we've seen a lot in the last 20 years. So
we will share the rights. If we ever become rich, we will share the profit. Don't worry. All the people, we will share the profit.
I'm sure we will. There we go. Tzatziki making champion 2021. Vag, big shout out, big love to you, big thank you. Don't give him ideas, please. That's funny. Really appreciate your time. I know you have the right mindset and you're positive, but still, hey, keep strong over there, keep inspiring, keep doing what you're doing. And I hope to meet one day soon for, at least a cup of coffee. London or Melbourne, somewhere in the world.
We absolutely will. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure, man.
My pleasure.
See you around.
I'm sure I'll see you around.
Bye, mate. Bye.
There you have it. Beautiful conversation with such an incredible human. I don't want a title, barista or coffee professional, just a good human. Me and Vag have connected several times before, just online, and you can just feel it when someone is good person, like you are. I think that we shouldn't be afraid of being who we are if we have good intentions. So thank you, Vag, for coming on. Thank you for coming, especially the good, thoughtful, as well as the funny comments that were dropped on the chat. I appreciate. If you're new, feel free to share this story. I'd love to, to share this as a story. Take a screenshot. We always love to see new people in the community. This podcast has all the recorded 96 previous episodes onto Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Samsung, Android, whatever podcast you use. They're available there. YouTube as well. So,
for your commute. Feel free to catch on. Now, a couple of things before I close it off. I hope you're all well. I hope that you're safe wherever you're in the world. This was episode 97. We're going to do 98, 99, and 100. Then we're going to close season 1. So season 1 closing doesn't mean the end. It means we're preparing for a big season 2. Anyway, again, it's been a real pleasure. The hour is nearly up. See you later.